oil has gone up far greater. You have how much now? 61 pesos per liter. And then it will go up, and I heard, around 120 pesos per dollars a million. Ito, 61 pesos per liter, in Boracay, 98. And it will go up now. It has reached $100 per barrel, correct?
Na-reach na ho yan, Mr. Mendoza. Na-reach na ho yan.
It will go up 120 dollars per barrel. So, kita mo, it goes up, it goes up. Yung sahod natin, stuck, and then pababa. Ito namang bilihin, yung langis at iba pa. Up, 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 up. Pataas na pataas. So, kawawa talaga ang manggagawang Pilipino. Ngayon, I am appealing, and then pasalamat ako kay Secretary Bello, the recognition that the 537 pesos is too small. That's a very strong statement, sir. The wages that being enjoyed in all the regions of this country, kasi regional tayo, ang wage fixing, paiba-iba, is called survival wages. Hindi disente yan, boss. 537, meron pang reduction yan sa SSS, PhilHealth, at saka Pag-ibig. And then for a family of 5, that's why we call it isang Pulsong Pinoy, itong Pulsong Pinggan Pinoy, kita mo na may kaltas na automatic deduction by law, di ba? And then, now, meron pang transportation, pagkain, education sa bata, may renta pa kung magrenta yan kung dito sa Manila, sa NCR. So magkano na lang? That's why TUCP pa ulit-ulit kami. That amount is actually survival. Isang sakitan lang, patay. Kawawa ang manggagawang Pilipino. Again, we appeal to the business sector and of course the government, because it goes through a wage process in which tripartite and boss. You have management, government, and of course us, the UCP and the labor sector, filing and talking. You put a petition, you talk about it, and hopefully we can get a bigger amount this time.
How much, Mr. Mendoza, ano po ba ang formal request ng TUCP to Congress as minimum wage today sa panahon na ito? Magkano na po?
Well, we are going to file to the wage boards across the country, but calibrated kasama din, because in some areas we acknowledge like nakapodet tayo sa Cebu, and then business is down and ang daming na walang trabaho. But for those regions who are suffering na hindi masyado, pero at least na iwas other regions, that's why we have to study. I called for an emergency meeting of the TUCP Economics Department na Kaben. We will come up with a number and also when to file it. But definitely kami, we will file kasi, again, almost 2 years and a half, 2019 na, and then you must recognize that the prices, pagkain, bilihin, lahat, pati oil, langis, etc., has gone up so many times in the last 2.5 years.
Mr. Mendoza, ang itinaas po ng presyo ng langis for this year alone, from January hanggang sa ngayon, umaabot na po sa diesel 11 pesos and 65 centavos. Yan po ang itinaas ng diesel. Oras de peligro talaga, boss. Talaga kailangan na. That is why we will calibrated yung response namin, and we shall file it. And how many times ang sahod lang, yung minimum wage natin? Across the region, wala. Frozen. So walang movement. So dapat mayroon. Ang nakakatakot to dito, Mr. Mendoza, sir, langis pa lamang ito Langis pa lamang How about the prime commodities? Yung karne natin, gulay.
And then may gera pa.
May gera pa
sa Ruso at saka sa Ukraine.
Mas mabigat po yung gera niya.
Problema, boss, ano bang nasa Ruso at sa Ukraine? Di ba wheat? Sa Tagalog ba, trigo?
Trigo.
Ano yung trigo? Di ba pandesal?
Pandesal.
At saka noodles?
Yes.
Sa Pinggan Pinoy, boss, acknowledge na pababa ng quality sa nutrition, in terms of nutrition. Yung pandesal mo, talagang kitang-kita mo sa laking-laking dati sa panahon ko, sa bata ko. I tell you how old I am. Pero ngayon, ganito na. Ang liit.
Ang liit-liit na ho eh.
Liit. And then yung noodles, sir, although medyo hindi siya mahal, well, it will go up also kasi trigo yan eh.
Correct.
Isa yan na every pang-almusal sa pamilya, although nutritionally, it's not good for your kidney. So, iba yan. Liit ang sweldo, health problems mo abutin
That's right.
mo.
But I know, Mr. Mendoza, sir, alam na ninyo ito, no? The effect it is causing the Filipino people, especially our workers. Alam po ng gobyerno ito na kailangan ng dagdagan ang sweldo ng ating mga manggagawa, at least yung minimum wage, ano po? But why is it? Bakit ho? Ang dami pang tumututol.
Exactly. That's why, although, sabi naman sa business group, I just got this, sabi daw nila na if it goes through a wage process, yes, it goes through a wage. Wala tayo, that's in the law. It has to go through a regionalized wage process. Another example po sa para mabilis tayo, yung 11 kilo na LPG pala, 1,000 pesos na.
Yes.
Ano LPG ba? At saka, yung sardinas. Well, yung nasabi yung galunggong, wala na. Yung galunggong ngayon, specialty na yan. Masarap na yan. Diba? So, hindi pwede na. Talagang, kailangan talaga we appeal to government and also to the capitalists, to the management. Kasi, insofar as the voting, kasi nagboboto yan, sir. So, tripartite yan. And always, as always, nagpa-file kaming 80 pesos, 90 pesos, 100 pesos wage increase. Ang binibigay, 25 pesos, 10 pesos, 5 pesos. Kahit pa paano nag-increase, pero ang liit. So, ito namang gobyerno usually sides with the management. As a congressman of the TUCP party list, it is also, I will file a bill amending how they vote. Second, we will put a kulatilia, a condition, whenever the price of oil and other basic necessities goes up so many times, kung pwede na, hindi na kailangan mag-usap pa tayo sa wage board. We will give the power to the president or sino ba, na talagang i-adjust din so that may automatic adjustment. Hindi kagaya ngayon na maghintay pa tayo ng ilang buwan. At the same time, kawawa ang...
I was just discussing, Mr. Mendoza, itong prices of oil, diesel, and kerosene a while ago, and I was discussing with the people here. Ang sabi ko, kailangan na ho siguro dito to revisit the oil deregulation law.
Correct.
Okay?
And then,
pero the importance of this is, nakikita ho natin yung urgency, yung pangangailangan na baguhin ho natin yung, kasi masyado nang mataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin ho natin eh. Masyado nang mataas, so hindi na mo makaabot sa kakayanan ng ating mga manggagawa ang bilihin. So, while the government is thinking of how to deal with the prices of oil, di siguro dapat to isama na ho dito the amendment to the oil deregulation law and measures to upgrade the salaries of workers. Dapat ito siguro urgent measure coming from the president ho. Ano bang kailangan dito para makita ng ating pamahalaan na seryoso na po ito, Mr. Mendoza? Seryoso na po ito.
Seryoso talaga, oras ni peligro ka, Ben. And I'd like to, they should act quickly on the excise tax of petroleum. Excise tax, when the barrel reaches $80 per barrel, boss, ngayon sumobra na eh, you suspend that excise tax. When you suspend that, at least, pababa yung presyo sa, it will not help much, but at least it is of help, yung excise tax suspension. Second, yung oil to deregulate it, pabor ako dyan. We can do that. And also, if I remember it right, I was the one who passed the 4Ps law, yung conditional cash transfer, na singbatas yan. I propose, and we filed it before, and the President can do this through an executive order, the Labor Empowerment Assistance Program, na dapat bigyan at least 500 pesos ayuda. If we can give so much to the poorest of the poor of this country, parang 4Ps, ba't hindi natin mabigyan yung minimum wage earner natin?
Exactly.
An amount na talaga, kawawa na talaga, boss. Kailangan din ng parang conditional cash transfer for the minimum wage earners. There will be, babigay natin. What I acknowledge, Kaben, na meron tayong camp na release sa DOLE, so twice lang yan eh. I believe it was 5,000 pesos last year and early this year or the late last year, may 5,000. Pero 10,000 pesos and then ilang twice lang for the period of 2.5 years, it is not enough.
Correct. Mr. Mendoza, sir, makikiusap lang po ako. Mag-break lang ho tayo sandali dito.
Yeah, okay.
Mag-break. Yes, but wag ho kayong aalis, ha? Gusto kong balikan natin ito, pinag-uusapan natin because I saw the urgency of this. Kailangan natin pag-usapan ito. Just for a while, Mr. Mendoza, sandali lamang po, magpapaalala lamang po tayo sa ating, mula sa ating himpilan. Sandali lang po.
Salamat, sir.
Ben 54 sa Pulsong Pinoy. Pulsong Pinoy. Radyo Pilipino. Alamin ang mga importanteng kaganapan sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. Mga balitang mahalaga. Mga balitang may kabuluhan. Sa Balitang Pandaigdigan. Balitang Pandaigdigan. World News. Mga pangyayaring may pakialam. Ang bawat Pilipino ibabahagi ni Buddy Bernardino. Live from Radyo Pilipino UK. Tuwing Lunes, Miyerkules at Biyernes, alas 4 hanggang alas 4:30 ng hapon. Balitang Pandaigdigan. World News. Dahil saan mang panig ng mundo, kabahagi mo ang Radyo Pilipino. Papalapit na ang eleksyon at sasalalay sa atin ang desisyon. Tayo ba ay maiisahan o tayo ba ay magkakaisa sa pagpili para sa bayan? Isahan! Sino ang makakaisa? Sino ang makikiisa? Isahan! Alamin ang mga sagot nila. Alamin ang mga plataforma upang mamulat ang sambayanan sa nalalapit na halalan. Isahan! Eleksyon talakayan. One-on-one interviews with electoral candidates. Isahan! Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 11 hanggang alas 12 ng tanghali. Isahan! Kasama ang batikang mamamahayag at kolumnista sa radyo, telebisyon at dyaryo. Jay Maderazo. Dito lang sa kabahagi mo, Radyo Pilipino.
Ang sumitsik ay pang-mang-mang, ang sumipol ay pang-hunghang, ang babae sa lansangan, huwag hiritan kundi igalang.
Pare, ang catcalling ay isang uri ng sexual harassment. Di biro ang sexual harassment at di nakakamacho ang pang-aabuso.
Huwag hiritan kundi igalang.
Isang paalala mula sa Philippine Commission on Women at ng himpilang ito. Ang trusted dog food ni Catherine Bernardo. Nutri-Chunks na!
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat and essential nutrients that help keep them healthy and happy. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Dial hashtag 88,000 Patron Gasol Express Delivery. Nationwide hotline yan. Si Mami ay wais dahil alam ang mabilis. Patron Gasol Delivery. Call and delivery ay free. Hashtag 88,000 yan. Hashtag 88,000 yan. Hashtag 88,000 yan. Patron Gasol Express Delivery. Nationwide hotline yan.
Ang trusted dog food ni Catherine Bernardo. Nutri-Chunks na!
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat and essential nutrients that help keep them healthy and happy. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Kabahagi mo, Radyo Pilipino. Impormasyong may kalidad, serbisyong may halaga, saan mang bahagi ng Pilipinas. On air. Saan mang bahagi ng mundo. Online. Ano mang uri ng pamumuhay. Kasama, katuwang, kapinoy. Kabahagi mo. Radyo Pilipino.
Narito ang mga dapat gawin sa araw ng halalan. Narito ang proseso ng pagboto. Una, hanapin ang pangalan sa Posted Computerized Voters List o PCVL na nakapaskil malapit sa pintuan ng polling place. Alamin ang precinct number at sequence number. Lumapit sa Board of Election Inspectors o SBEI upang ma-check kung may indelible ink na ang inyong daliri at ma-verify ang identity sa Election Day Computerized Voters List o EDCVL. Pangalawa, kunin sa BEI ang marking pen at balota na nakasilid sa ballot secrecy folder. Magtungo sa voting area upang pumoto. Siguraduhin tama ang pag-fill up ng balota. Huwag mag-overvote. Pangatlo, matapos ma-fill up ang balota, ipasok ang balota sa VCM. Hintayin ang voting receipt. Pang-apat, isang election worker ang gugupit ng resibo. Lalagyan ka muna ng indelible ink bago ibigay sa iyo ang resibo. Ikalima, i-verify ang resibo habang nakatayo sa tabi ng voting receipt receptacle. Kung may katanungan, ipagbigay alam sa BEI. Ihulog ang resibo sa receptacle. Bawal ilabas sa polling place ang resibo.
Nagbabalik si Ben Paipon sa Pulsong Pinoy.
Yes sir, balik tayo sa ating Pulsong Pinoy dito po sa Radyo Pilipino. Saan man panig ng mundo, kabahagi mo Radyo Pilipino. Itutuloy po natin ang ating pakikipag-usap kay Ginoong Raymond Mendoza, ang National President ng Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. Mr. Mendoza, sir, nandyan pa po ba kayo?
Nandito, sir.
Okay. Tuloy natin ang ating usapan. Ang tatanong ko lamang po, Mr. Mendoza, posible po ba na kaagad-agad may patupad ang wage hike on an emergency measure? Like magpapatawag ng special session ng Pangulo, Congress will resume session. Sila po babalik pa sa May 23 habang pinatatagal natin ito, lalo magugutom ang mga manggagawa natin. This is some urgent measure that has to be resolved very soon as possible. Sir, ano po sa tingin ninyo? You are also in Congress
Yeah, hindi naman kailangan sa Congress yan, boss. Kasama Ben. Kailangan talaga i-file mo because that has been practiced since 1989 yata. Noon pang ang kino-government, si Mitra pa yan, si Speaker. So what the usual process is that you file it with the wage boards in the regional level. So in this case, they always call once a year. Usually once a year yan, mag-wage increase normally. And then you don't have to wait for a supervening event. In an event like this, in this case, 2.5 years na tayo, sumobra pa. Although there is a case considering that nobody knows about the pandemic. No? Lahat naman sa law books natin, even when all the laws have been written, you don't talk about pandemic. That's why naiwalan tayo. Kami sa TUCP, we're thinking of quarantine leave and pandemic leave or something to that effect. So added to the various leaves that is being enjoyed by an ordinary worker. But going back, the wage fixing mechanism is nandyan yung labor, nandyan tayo in most of the tripartite bodies all over the country in regions. And also nandyan yung usually ECOP of TCCI nandun. And lastly, parang yung referee, yung gobyerno. Now, how it is done? Usually kami ang mag-file ng petition. Some labor groups can file. In fact, last year, nag-file yung ibang grupo pero na-rejected because of the height of the pandemic, which is understandable. But now, we're alert level 1. Pabalik na tayo sa normal. So, part of pabalik sa normal na dapat naman bigyan pansin yung problema sa pinggan Pinoy. Yung problema sa manggagawang Pilipino. Because as you already mentioned, pataas ang bilihin at saka mga langis at trigo, lahat. There is a reason for this. While we admit the fact that we just came out from the pandemic.
Ang akin lamang po dito, Mr. Mendoza, sir, no? While this is true na meron po mga wage boards in the provinces At sila ho ang magde-decide kung magkakaroon po ng increase ng sweldo ng ating mga manggagawa. That's during normal times. Yan po is
Sir.
normal times, but I think itong 2 taon na nakalipas po, hindi po normal ito. And
Correct. It is allowed. Actually, a thousand supervening event. No, there are times talaga that in 1 year na twice talaga nag-increase.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, ang problema lang sa wage boards and how we increase yung salary, sometimes bagal. That's why part of the amendment, kung makabalik tayo, na there must be an automatic adjustment. Now, going back to the discussion now, how it is done, well, kami namang medyo, of all years nagpa-file, yung panawagan lang natin na huwag masyadong maliit. Nagpa-file tayo 90, 100, 120, so many years na was yung TUCP Labor Center, pero ang bigay ay 5 pesos, 20 pesos, 10 pesos, ang liit-liit. That is why we are calling na bigyan na medyo malaki. At one time, in Davao, in Region 9 ba yung Davao? No, Region 11 or something. Nakita mo yung Davao, 56 pesos. Ang sabi nila, magbabankrupt na daw kami. This was pre-COVID. Problema yung negosyo, magsirado daw. Pero, tingnan mo, nagsirado ba?
hindi
Kaya pala eh. It's just like yung ang galing ni Presidente Duterte, not new to him, but the mere fact I was just talking to some military na in his time, he actually doubled the salary of those in men
Exactly.
in uniform.
Opo.
To him.
This is what I was going to ask Mr. Mendoza, sir. Not because Mr. Duterte is the president today, but
Yes, sir.
alam naman po natin na pagkatapos po nitong term niya, iba naman po ang magiging presidente natin. Ano? It could be what? I don't know.
Depende sa presidente mo.
Oh, depende rin sa ang akin lamang ho dito, katulad po nito, meron tayong urgency, meron pong pandemic, at kinakailangan kaagad-agad, hindi natin kinakailangan. Can we empower the president, the incumbent president, to create the necessary solutions like magkano ba kailangan ba nating itaas ang minimum wage para makasunod po doon sa pangangailangan sa mga manggagawa ho natin. Ano po sa tingin ninyo, Mr. Mendoza?
Salamat ka, Ben. Actually, it's called political will. If the president does that call on the wage board, convene it today or tomorrow, it can be done. No, we don't even know. But let's file the petition first. I'll study it. Madali lang yan. Within the week, isubmit natin. And the president can say, just like when he certifies a bill urgent. Diba?
Yes.
He can do that. The president has immense power. So, with that being said, taking into effect na sabihin mo, okay, may petition na, TUCP galing yan, or ibang labor groups, work on it. I'll give you so many days to resolve that. Of course, he cannot order them around, but powerful yung yung command. That is political will. And then a lot of Filipino workers in this country will be very, very happy kung mangyari yan kasama din. And thank you for reminding me that. Of course, in Congress, what we can do is the legislative wage increase. Medyo matagal na yan, pero medyo mahirap, but we can refile it again and again until such time the situation will be there na talagang it's called for. That is why, last lang boss that is why we created the Department of Migrant Workers. Why? Ang daming Pinoy umaalis sa Pilipinas. Why? Kasi walang trabaho. Ang dami natin. Kung may trabaho man, ang liit-liit pa yung sweldo. So there are 10 million OFWs all over the world. We sent out pre-COVID 2 million a year, and now around 800,000 and rising. They contribute 2 trillion, almost 2 trillion pesos of the 5 trillion budget of this country.
Mm-hmm.
So, panawagan namin, isang reason yan na ang dami umaalis kasi sweldo natin talaga. So, next time, boss, and thank you kasama, Ben, pwede naman ibulong ni Presidente o yung wage board.
Mr. Mendoza, sir.
Bisaya yan eh. So, Bisaya ko. Kung pagtarong mo niya, kasi na taon na kaliyog lang.
Oo nga po.
Can be done, boss. Can be done. Please, Mr. President. Please.
The main reason why I asked that, no, Mr. Mendoza, nakikita ko po kasi na every time there is election, masyadong nangingibabaw po ang mga negosyante eh. Because these are the politicians here take their money from them.
And
Kaya
who runs well, the politicians runs the country. But you also remember,
But-
ang masang Pilipino, the working class is supposed to be 90% of this country kasama Ben. Alam mo yan.
ang
So, you
problema
don't
nga
want them
lamang ho
to
dito,
rise up.
naduduminahan po yung ating mga manggagawa ho, Mr. Mendoza eh.
Well, partly we have a presidential election coming in and all locals. That's why you choose wisely. Hindi dapat pasayluwa lang ko sa Bisaya pa. Paumanin lang na bayaran lang. Kung kailangan nandiyan pera, I'm not saying anything. Nandyan naman, kung nandyan yan, pero vote according to your conscience.
Ang masakit
Otherwise,
kasi
for the
dito,
next
Mr.
6
Mendoza,
years,
sir.
problema yan.
Ang masakit dito, pagka humiling ang mga manggagawa ng wage increase, nakatutol kaagad ang mga negosyante and the government is already silent.
That's why I said na dapat in the amended wage fixing mechanism kasama Ben na we will change the rules.
Yes.
Kung pwede yung government hindi na mag-decide except for a tie.
Yes.
Or lagyan natin na maraming pa. So that you create a fair tawag to leveling the playing
Level
field.
playing field.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, panawagan lang talaga, this condition cannot continue. Our country, sinasabi sa economic managers natin, BB plus rating, we were able to retain it in spite of the pandemic. And that, hindi maintindihan yun sa manggagawa. Ulit-ulit mo na BB rating, etc. What they understand is what's in their plate.
Correct.
What they understand, kung meron bang reserve dyan sa pera nila na pwede para sa pagkain, sa tuition, etc. So, parang awa ko ng wage board. And Mr. President, sabi mo Ben, bulungan mo. Mag-file tayo tomorrow. Bulungan mo, Mr. President, na talagang mag-wage increase.
Kung hindi makinig, sigawan. Mahirap naman yun.
Sabay tayo magsigaw, boss. Wala akong problema. Wala akong para sa manggagawang Pilipino. Yes,
Alright.
it can be done.
So, boss, wala na tayong oras. But I know we have not even scratched the surface of this problem. Let us just reserve our discussions for next program po. And please allow yourselves to be called up again at magkukwentuhan po tayo sa Himpapawid. Ha? Mr. Mendoza, sir.
You gave me an idea. Daghang salamat. Maraming salamat kasama Ben.
Alright. Thank you very much, Mr. Mendoza, sir. Maraming salamat po. Alright, mga kabahagi, si Ginoong Raymond Mendoza, National President of the Trade Union Congress of the Philippines. Kausap po natin dito sa ating Pulsong Pinoy, dito po sa Radyo Pilipino. Mga kabahagi, ang pinag-uusapan namin ni Mr. Mendoza has something to do with what we have discussed earlier. Ito yung pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina, pagtaas ng mga presyo ng basic commodities and so forth. Parang domino yan eh. Chain reaction. Pagka tumaas ang presyo ng gasolina, tataas lahat yan nasa baba. Including, sana, sweldo ng mga manggagawa, pero hindi po eh. Yung sweldo ng manggagawa parang yung pamasahe po dito sa mga jeepney drivers natin. Tingnan niyo, humihingi lamang po ng 1 piso ang mga jeepney drivers natin, hindi pa po may bibigay. Bakit? Hindi na po kumakain ang ating mga jeepney drivers? The same thing is true with the workers. Pagka binigyan po ng momento 5 piso, sabi nga po ni Mr. Mendoza, is this fair? Of course not. And we rely on the wage boards to decide on this. Kung hindi sila gumawa ng aksyon, wala na po bang magagawa ang presidente? That is why I asked Mr. Mendoza, wala po bang magawa ang presidente dito? National emergency na po ito eh. May digmaan po sa Ukraine. Patuloy na tumataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin. Patuloy na tumataas ang presyo ng gasolina. And we cannot do anything to prevent this. Kasi, tinanggal po ng ating pamahalaan ang kapangyarihan to look into the pricing of oil products in the country. Wala ho tayong karapatan na tinanggal po ng gobyerno sa oil deregulation law. So anong gagawin natin? Bakit hindi magpatawag ang ating Pangulo? Bakit hindi po magpatawag ng ating Pangulo ng special session to decide on this immediately? Makakatiis pa po tayo. Tuloy-tuloy na po ang tumataas ang presyo ng gasolina and so on and so forth. Wheat, pandesal, ay lahat ng mga commodities from agricultural sector ay tataas na ho dito. And yet, our government has done nothing yet. Panginoon ko po mga kababayan, magbabalik ko tayo bukas ha. Marami pa tayong pag-uusapan tungkol dito. Hindi pa po tayo tapos. I'm sorry, hindi ko po natunghayan po yung mga comments po ninyo, but I promise tomorrow, babasahin natin ang mga comments po ninyo dito sa ating programa, Pulsong Pinoy. This is your program. Ito po ay programa po ninyo. Ito po dito ninyo ilagay ang mga comments po ninyo, reaction po ninyo, pananaw ninyo, ideas po ninyo, how to further yung bang kabutihan po para sa bawat Pilipino. Ito ho ang ating programa, inilaan po ng Radyo Pilipino para sa inyo, Pulsong Pinoy. Alright, sa ngalan po ni Christine, sila Princess, sila Ram Alonso at lahat ng mga managers po natin dito sa Radyo Pilipino, si Eman, thank you very much. Ben Pipon po, nagsasabi, thank you very much for allowing us into your homes and for giving us the privilege to be of service to you. Gandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Inyong natunghayan ang Pulsong Pinoy kasama si Ben Paipon. Hanggang sa muli mula sa kabahagi mo, Radyo Pilipino. Kabahagi.
RPN Regional AM radio stations nationwide welcomes CNN Philippines.